Welcome to the Berks Homes Podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about playing the long game. And I really like that little title you just came up with. That was nice.
Well, we're coming off 50 years celebration in business last year, and we just made some changes in our business plan for this year and next year, and so we're going to talk about why.
Yeah.
And it's all about playing the long game.
That's exactly right. Before we jump into the why, we should probably say the what, because that's going to give context to what we're talking about. So we adjusted our forecast to, we haven't actually officially landed on any particular number, but we are working towards 520 now.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is 520 for sure. And then we're looking out to 2025 already because it's June. It's you should be looking 12 to 18 months ahead, guaranteed. If not, 3 years is ideal.
Yeah, most of our land positions already kind of locked in for 25. So if you have your land position, for the most part, there's always stuff that can come on, but we're not talking about big things generally. Right. It's just stuff that we already have either owned or under contract or
controlled in some capacity.
So once we do that, after June in the building cycle, once you start selling in July, you're working towards next year, usually. And we are doing our 5-year land planning meeting in July, which is where the regions present what their opportunities are over the next 5 years, what they have, what they're looking at, what they're planning on, where they can grow.
Where their potential is.
And so that's usually a really good couple hours where we can see what their plans are to grow or stay the same, whatever. There's always a justification behind it.
Yeah, and that's, so looking out towards next year, we can say we are in a nice, stable environment. If we're trying to hit 520 this year, we're looking anywhere between 550, 560 next year.
Right. And so the why behind all of that really starts with being around tomorrow. Every day is about being around another day, another month, another year, another decade. And the philosophy is to not time the market, but always be prepared for what the market throws at you, because it can stop on a dime.
And knowing that's right there, that statement is not an assumption we can make. You have to know that it will change.
Right. Yeah. The general real estate market of ups and downs, up cycle, down cycle, is usually 7 to 8 years. And technically, we've been in an up market for 13,
since
12.
2013.
Yeah. So the interesting thing, and you remember this very well, when COVID hit in March of 2020, we assumed that was just going to be the catalyst.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the integrity of the market, the supply and demand. That market was really good.
Yeah.
In 2019, going into 2020, it was a natural
healthy
market, but it was up. It was gaining traction.
Yeah.
It was a great market because it was pretty predictable. When you sold homes, it was a little difficult. But not too hard.
Right.
And there was price appreciation, gentle, predictable, and costs were much lower.
Yeah.
Right. So when COVID hit, we just assumed, okay, this is another one of those crazy cataclysmic events that was going to change, the trajectory.
And that's usually what triggers the down market, is when there's some sort of outside force that impacts the economy.
Right. And in the Great Recession, it was like double negative. Right. Part of it was started by real estate. And then the other part of it was just, everybody leveraging everything. And oversupply, tremendous amount of oversupply. So what's different now? Continue to be like perpetually undersupplied. The rates haven't affected much
yeah, they actually worked correctly
Yeah.
by slowing things down
Right.
to the point where it made it manageable.
Yeah. But it's still up.
Yeah.
So, price appreciation's still up, which is interesting. It didn't even go flat. It's like up. And
In most markets.
Most markets, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The hot ones that always experience the extremes,
Mm-hmm.
like Southeast Florida,
Yeah.
the West,
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Arizona, there's pockets that have suffered.
Yeah, right, especially with the interest rates and the prices.
But the general overall national market's been pretty good. So all that being said, we want to be very aggressive when it's down.
Yes.
And you can only do that if you're conservative when it's going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of like that contrarian mindset. And it's not always being contrarian because you'll never take advantage then.
Right.
Right? It's not like being 100% contrarian, like when you have a good market, just like hoarding.
Right.
But it's being balanced and knowing when to slow down and be ready.
Right. So you're saying like the increase in pricing, especially with land, plus the increase in interest.
Right.
That just right there tells you, okay, now take a minute to look at this.
Right.
These are one or the other is not a no, but both of them is kind of like, okay, now you just have to make really great deals.
Yeah, the land stuff is just getting nutty, and some of that you can see the landscape as it pertains to the national builders. The ones that are publicly owned, they're pretty consistent in moving in and out of the markets that we're in.
Correct.
So when it gets really hot, they're just looking anywhere. And then they come in and they overinflate the price of land because they can afford to. And that's when it's like too hot to touch for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you just have to navigate it. And that doesn't mean that you just don't do anything. You just have to be smart and not be cognizant of bidding wars.
Exactly.
Because that's what happens. So right now is one of those times where you're just like, there's really no disadvantage to pulling back slightly and just building up cash, getting really good at everything at the current pace, all of that. There's no disadvantage to it.
That's kind of the point, is just taking a look at what the market looks like exactly today, what we're competing against with buying land, and what we have. And we're in a great position to hold steady, refine get our reps in.
Get our reps in. That's a good way to put
it. Home building at this size.
Right. Yeah. And because you never want to overextend yourself to the point where it affects human beings.
Yeah. Exactly.
So when you start taking risk in a way that is basically just trying to compete with those high dollars, then you put yourself out there a little bit, and everybody knows that one of the first things to happen is you need to cut costs. And what's the biggest way to cut costs generally?
Yeah, payroll.
Is payroll. And so with that being kind of your guide, knowing that that's kind of the one thing that we want to protect, you just do less aggressive land deals in general.
Exactly.
And
again, not to say no land deals, because we're not saying
less aggressive.
Less aggressive. That's so. To your point, we're going to reinforce this to be more aggressive when it's the right timing.
Right. And we've had, recently we own various pieces of land in all phases of entitlements, right? So, and we've even had offers to buy our own land from public builders at insane numbers. And so it's really interesting to see that we can always find what people pay. It's public record.
Yeah.
It's always, you can always find it. But to see that right now, and you're like, whoa, we did not value the land at that price.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's all part of that long game.
That's exactly right. And what it also does is force you to look at the markets that you're looking into, the locations, because, if the publics are just coming in to everywhere we are, it does mean that there is still opportunity even further out. And that was something that wasn't as much of a possibility before COVID either. So this is a new opportunity for us, honestly.
We have yet to see, whenever the market slows, there's a lot of data that says it's not going to for a while. Inventory versus demand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just basic economics.
Unless the rates drop a ton and then it gets flooded. There's always factors in there. Yeah,
right,
but go ahead.
Right, but I mean, just your normal...
Sure. Unforeseen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of manipulation and or financial crisis that's outside of the industry. There's a lot of stuff that says it's not going to change dramatically just because of the inventory. And at some point, everybody has to look around and say, well, what do we do with that information?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's job, if you're a leader in a home building organization, is to not understand what the future is, because you just never know.
Yeah.
But see patterns and develop an appetite that you're comfortable with for risk.
That's a great way to say it. What's your risk level?
Yeah.
In your strategy.
You have to identify it.
Yeah.
Right? So when things do get emotional, meaning when it's irrational, the values and everything, you have to know what matters to you separated from emotion. And so you always have a strategy when something happens that is irrational.
Right. Good or bad.
Oh, no, I already said, when this happens, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to get sucked in.
Exactly. Now that, again, going back to the why, that is having 50 years to lean on of experience with things like this.
Yeah.
It's invaluable to have Dad be able to tell us what his thought process has been through. This is his fourth cycle being at Berks Homes.
Yeah. Right.
Truly.
Right.
So just him being able to say, we have to land here when this happens.
Right.
And inevitably it will. Because
I know we were talking about COVID and the market, like geographic market, right?
Oh, right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't know what the effects are going to be of, you call them A, B, C markets, right?
Right.
So the C markets, like when we had the Great Recession, they dumped to zero, right? Because if there's inventory, you're just going to go get the best location.
Period.
That's just what happens.
And so everything else just sat.
Right.
Yes.
Now, these outer locations, what we would call C markets, where a lot of people in the office are even like, who wants to live there? And how did we get that price for it?
Yeah.
But it's almost like location is like, maybe it's like location.
Just 2 instead of 3 now? Yeah.
And affordability is just,
it's winning.
So massive right now.
It honestly, that's, I think, what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is the dream of home ownership is dying. You see that headline everywhere, especially for, each generation younger than us that's coming through. It's like, I'm not going to say they don't want to buy homes, but it's something that they don't know if they can eventually.
If it seems far off in the distance, then you don't dream about it as much.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the problem to solve, not as much as location.
At some point, too, the old adage of, and our salespeople are currently, they're probably saying it right this minute to somebody. It's still true to say, well, now is the best time.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, it always goes up.
Yeah.
It's always more.
Eventually.
In the future.
Yeah.
It could drop like the Great Recession.
But it's going to come back up again.
Yeah. I mean, what was your first? You had a townhouse over here.
Yeah. So did you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what's it worth now when, we bought, we had our house that we shared and that was, we made money in like 9 months.
Yeah.
Pre-recession and then various houses. But after I got married, we had a townhouse, and I bought at the peak. It was like 2008.
Yeah.
And had to rent it for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even when I sold it after COVID, it's worth like $50,000 more now.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
That's the same with my townhouse.
Yeah.
In Shillington.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's kind of wild. So you look back and you're like, yeah, it is. It's a good time to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Well, the other point is, it's always a good time to buy for somebody.
Yeah. Right.
Might not be the best time to buy for everyone.
Sure.
But it still is the best time to buy for some people. And that's the key, is to, make sure that you're discovering that during the whole selling process.
What are the tattoos that the loan officers have on their arms? Is date the rate, marry the house, or something? I mean, it's kind of been the way it is. Even for us, like, we just barely got in when it was in those 3-point whatever rates.
Yeah.
It's never a bad time, and it's never a perfect time.
Right.
Until later, and then you're like, that was a perfect time.
But you don't know in the moment. Yeah.
You just don't know. But going back to that affordability thing, I think that is the interesting part, and it had to happen at some point. I remember when I was very young, and I asked Dad, it was like I was worrying about this for some reason. I don't really worry about anything, but I was like, but what happens when we run out of land?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you kind of have a dumb business. What happens when you run out of land?
We still ask him that.
And he was just like, you have no idea. There's always opportunity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And now more so than ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. You never would think that you would be building in some of these locations, but when you work from home and somebody's like, yeah, I can spend $100,000 less than I would 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I live over here?
Right.
I get a bigger house for less money,
mm-hmm.
and it's a beautiful location in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. We just don't know if the market slows. Does that change?
Well, that's the interesting part about it, is it naturally does. People are drawn to those further out markets during a time of a pricing boom, no matter what.
Right.
But the sustained interest in it in a different way, not just because of pricing,
right,
that's the differentiator now. Yeah. And that's going to be interesting to watch.
It is, because the inventory, even if the inventory grows, there's still like a ton of people that want houses.
Yes, that's exactly right.
The inventory has to grow so significantly to absorb all those buyers that we don't even know about yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So what are you most excited about in that consolidation mindset? I shouldn't even say consolidation, because it's just not being ultra aggressive. It's anything but being aggressive.
I just like a good deal.
Yeah.
In general. Like we were saying, you never know when is the perfect time to do something, but you kind of know when it's not a good time.
Yeah.
So I like feeling a little more secure about the things that we do move forward with. That when you get to the point where you're going, oh, I don't know, that feels a little risky, or,
I never like to hear the word if.
Right. Well, if this breaks the right way, or if that will be fine. Ooh, no. We don't want that. If it goes bad, we'll still be okay. That's a different story.
Yeah. Well, when you have something that's in a good location, that's reasonable, there's nothing better, because you're just like, at the very least, we'll be able to move stuff.
Yes. I think that's what I'm most happy about, is knowing that where we're at right now with the majority of what we do have controlled is that. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're looking at now. And that just... And honestly, 550 homes a year is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's and
getting good at it.
And getting good at it. That is honestly, okay, this is not my number one. being able to say that and then being like really good at it from all levels, meaning our profitability, our customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, efficiencies. I mean, like that's honestly the dream.
Yeah, we have a handful of those metrics that we feel really good about right now that we haven't even focused on as much.
Yeah.
Like the gross profit numbers are really good and still have a lot of upside with stuff. I mean, it feels really natural. And I think that what we can go to our coworkers with is rock solid plan to develop their skills.
Yes.
And knowledge base. And we still have a lot of new people.
That's where we should definitely go there to say the endless opportunity for training people about how Berks Homes wants to operate is there. So being able to invest in that, put our time and effort in that, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Well, yeah. So what about you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, yeah. I mean, I love a good deal. I mean,
to steal it from you.
that was mine. Just having confidence where you can have some anchor communities and then have some fun with other stuff.
Yeah.
Too, because I love to take swings when I have like chips off the table in a way.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to understand new areas, new communities.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a tremendous amount of opportunity, going back to what we were saying with these B and C markets, to educate yourself.
Yeah.
And right now, some of it is naturally just like a consumer's pushing out, we're pushing out.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper land, it's cheaper everything. The trade base might cost a little less. So it's just the natural progression.
Yeah.
But some of it could be luck. And so it's that mindset of, hey, we have a lot of potential everywhere around us, so go get educated on it.
Yeah.
Be experts. Why does this work? Why are we picking up 3 and 4 lot little one-offs that work really well?
Yeah, let's explore that area a little bit more then.
Yeah, dive deep.
Yeah.
It's not always just because the market's hot. It's because there's something about the school district or something, whatever.
Yeah, some plant there.
Yeah, some new Volvo manufacturer.
Right.
That was. Do you remember that back at in Shippensburg? That was like the big thing, and it was like, I don't care what's there when the recession hits. Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
So does that kind of
cover the
why?
The why behind the, gradual growth, understanding why we talked an entire episode last week about, just taking simple before that, slowing down. It's just because we have a great opportunity in front of us.
Yeah.
Want to continue to do the same and get good at it.
Right.
Right? It's a good summary.
Nothing more comforting to all of us than a steady hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So being in control, you and I hate being influenced by outside control, like stuff that's out of our control.
Yeah. Or being told what to do. Yes.
So it's just having the steady hand and being in control of your own destiny is very important.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting thing to kind of explore for a second too, is controlling what you can control. And that is on all levels, from land, selling, construction, the whole way through.
How you treat people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's so many variables and outside influences to each step of the way. If you can get consistent about being steady and controlling those things within your sphere of influence, that's the way to do your best.
Right.
Honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's a lot easier to simplify, understand, move forward a little bit instead of have a giant complex series of issues that you're always trying to solve and you're running towards something that you don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a lot of confusion. And we owe that to our coworkers too.
Yeah.
To give them that. So
I feel like we are winding down this subject.
Yes.
So do you have a shout out this week?
I do. So we talked last week about note takers and had somebody, Colin Thompson from State College Region, text me and he said, "Oh, you gotta put Jim Bosinger, we call him Jimbo, obviously, on the list. He's great at taking notes." And that's not necessarily why I'm shouting him out, but it reminded me he's a very likable human being in that region.
Mm-hmm.
He's the warranty manager, and I hear great things, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, that's a really good shout out. I have only experienced and heard all good things.
Yeah, very interesting guy. Great to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I know his team likes him a lot.
Yeah.
So
is everybody.
Yeah.
It's a good thing when you're the warranty manager.
That is a good thing. Yeah.
It's a trait that they all have, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they all, a lot of likable warranty managers in the company. Yeah, all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm tailoring the way I'm going to say my challenge to what we just talked about because it just clicked what I really wanted to say out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is to look at what you can control and make sure that you're practicing the habits to make it happen.
Yeah.
In your workload.
Yeah. Bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. What do you have influence on that can make things better that maybe you just have not been looking at or paying attention to?
Okay.
What's within your control to make better?
That's great. What was the name of that book that you had as a challenge? Was it The Go-Giver?
The Go-Giver, yeah.
Okay.
Good
I
job.
haven't bought that yet. I'm going to buy it.
Well, there's
a second reminder. Just threw that out there.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Well, have a great week, everybody.
Yeah. Talk to you later. See you.